everyone. First of all, it's a pleasant surprise that we could all make it to this event early in the morning given what is happening in Bangalore traffic. So thank you for having me here, Josh, and thank you for being a wonderful audience as we go forward. At Akula Aerospace, we are redefining how aerial data acquisition and transmission is happening. You've all learned about aircraft being the first forms of aerial data acquisition, and then we had satellites, and now we are pioneering a new class of aerial vehicles that could redefine how aerial data is being acquired. So we're an aerospace-focused deep tech startup based out of Bangalore, started in 2019, primarily looking at a specific class of long endurance unmanned aerial vehicles and solar electric hybrid propulsion. Using that technology, we can also develop what's called high altitude pseudo-satellites. I'll get to that towards the end of my presentation, but this redefines how we can acquire data from the sky. We no longer are thinking about UAVs or drones that fly for a few hours or a few days. We can now have drones that fly for multiple months. You can have persistent aerial coverage of an area of interest depending on the use case over multiple days, multiple months, and possibly years. And that is the technology that we are pioneering. Primarily, my background is in aerospace engineering. I did my master's and PhD in aerospace engineering from Purdue, worked with Raytheon Technologies as a senior research scientist for a few years before heading back to India and starting Akula Aerospace in 2019. We are backed by leading investors, and we have partnered with leading enterprise and defense customers with the first set of products. So across industries, there is an invisible enemy that plagues asset integrity. The invisible enemy is the continuous data gap. In the oil and gas industry, close to about $150 billion worth of crude oil is pilfered every year. If you look at border surveillance, unknown intrusions by non-state actors cause huge economic losses and is a threat to national security. In solar parks, theft of copper wires shut down continuous production of clean tech power. And in ports and large area assets, intruders can lead to a lot of cargo losses as high as $50 billion. The common thread in all this, we don't have continuous monitoring of these assets. Due to the geographical distribution of these assets, it becomes a big challenge. How do you continuously monitor them? And of course, aerial monitoring, given the geographical distribution, aerial monitoring is a possible solution. But however, the challenge with the first generation of drone solution is that they had limited flight time. So they were primarily required for use cases where aerial data acquisition was ad hoc, so mostly mapping and surveying. You come, you have a drone that flies, acquires data at a particular point in time, and then goes away. You don't have continuous monitoring of an area of interest. And to enable that sort of technology involves a lot of engineering and domain knowledge. And that is what we are pioneering through the next generation of unmanned aerial vehicles. These drones currently fly for up to 8 hours continuously, the longest flight times of its class of UAVs in the country. Through these, we are able to target use cases that could not be targeted by traditional drones. And these use cases are also of recurring nature, so surveillance, persistent monitoring of borders, maritime, persistent monitoring of oil and gas pipelines. So the business use cases that we are targeting also enables the scaling up of this technology across different sectors. So first enterprise UAV is called SUVI. It's a fixed wing UAV, solar electric, flies for up to 8 hours and weighs less than 10 kgs. Through this, we are able to cater to industries such as oil and gas, solar parks, where persistent monitoring of the asset is of vital importance for security and maintenance. And one important thing is, as some of my earlier speakers said, aerospace design and development is a complex process that takes multiple years because of the highly intercoupled nature of different engineering systems having to come into place. We have pioneered a highly computational approach where we have cut down the development time significantly from multiple years to a couple of years. And this stems from a proprietary design methodology where we are able to go from accelerate the design process by about 4 times. What would traditionally take 3 to 5 years is now cut down to about 1.5 years. And the biggest challenge here is because of the high number of choices that you will have to decide as a designer, we are using a lot of computationally driven and AI-driven methodologies to bring down this. So for example, in our first design, we went through close to 750 billion design choices before we arrived at the optimal design. Through this, we are able to provide unmatched endurance. So the next best flight times of its class of UAVs in the country is about 2 hours, whereas we are able to deliver close to 8 hours. Just want to highlight a recent case study that we did for one of our customers. This was perimeter monitoring of solar parks. The status quo there is they have man guard security who are on 3 ships, 3 guards who continuously patrol the perimeter every 20 to 30 minutes. So once a particular area is observed, there's a blind spot for the next 15 to 20 minutes, and then another patrol guard comes. And because of this, there were theft incidents of copper wires, which led to downtime, which led to revenue losses, which led to capital losses, which was a huge drain on efficient operations for this company. So we said, hey, let us deploy our solutions. We'll persistently monitor your perimeter. We'll provide real-time coverage, and we'll provide it at a fraction of the cost because our technology enables it to provide this capability with fewer drones as compared to traditional methods. So we started deploying our enterprise UAV SUVI. We are now able to provide real-time intrusion detection. So as a drone flies over the perimeter, it's able to detect any sort of movement and provide it to the security and control room in real time. We're able to reduce the detection time from what was 15 minutes to about 3 minutes. And we're able to reduce the theft incidents from 3 to 5 incidents per month to almost 0. This is real-time footage of the perimeter so even if you have 500,000 acres, now you can get real-time footage of what's happening, something that is 50, 100 kilometers away, every time, every hour of the day, 24/7. We also, not only have we developed the hardware layer, we also developed the software layer so that the key stakeholders are provided the right information at the right time. We are changing the domain of intelligence from reactive intelligence to predictive intelligence. So from this case study, we realized that we could significantly reduce manpower, which is a huge cost for any customer, right? So potential reduction of up to 80%, we're able to reduce the cost that they incurred for security and other losses to almost 50% from what they generally do. So now that is the first product, but our vision goes to a lot more. All of us are familiar with UAVs that fly anywhere from, let's say, ground level all the way to 7 kilometers, right? That's the typical operational altitude that most UAVs fly. We also have our platforms that fly for longer periods. Our low altitude UAV flies for about 8 hours. Then we have a medium altitude UAV, which we are developing for the Indian Army, specifically for border surveillance in Leh-Ladakh regions. And then we have satellites that operate at 200 kilometers. Now there is a white space between 7 kilometers and all the way up to 200 kilometers where satellites operate. This is a stratospheric layer where if you operate any drones, you're above commercial air traffic, you're above any sort of weather effects, and you have the potential to persistently observe. So through our proprietary solar electric design and our couple of patents, we are developing what's called a high-altitude pseudo-satellite. This is basically a solar electric UAV that flies for multiple months. The current predicted flight times are about 4 months. Basically, it flies using solar power during the day, stores the excess energy in batteries for nighttime flight, and then the process repeats. So now, let's say you want to observe what's happening in Bangalore, the traffic patterns, or you want to see time-based phenomena. Now you can observe that over a longer period of time, rather than having a snapshot every couple of hours or every few days or every few weeks. We're currently in the computational design phase, and we're hoping to develop a demonstrator in about 15 months' time from now. While the other two platforms are already, one of them have been deployed, and the second is going to field testing in a couple of days. So as I mentioned before, high-altitude pseudo satellites redefine how aerial data is being acquired. It redefines how the kind of data that you can obtain, the frequency of data you can obtain, and the nature and the quality of data you can obtain. For instance, satellites provide a resolution of between 15 to 20 centimeters. You can identify whether it's a truck or a vehicle or a car. Using Earth observation information from pseudo satellites, you can identify the license plate of a vehicle. That's the kind of resolution that you can get compared to satellite data. We are designing this for multi-month flight, currently about 4 months, and I believe that could further be improved as battery technologies evolve. Also, it's designed to be payload agnostic and caters to multiple sectors. So on the defense side, this could be persistent monitoring of our borders and coastal areas. Post-Operation Sindoor, this has become an important technology area, and even in the recent capability roadmap document that the Indian Defense has unveiled, about 100 HAPS systems are required by the tri-services over the next decade. And I'll just wrap it up with the last slide. So it also, because of its persistent coverage, it acts like a telecom tower in the sky, and telecom companies have greater interest in using them for providing internet and other services in remote areas. So I believe through this technology, we're redefining aerial intelligence, and we want to partner with forward-looking industries who want to deploy these systems, and with investors who are looking at the next generation of aerial intelligence. Thank you.